Hello guys, this is Dr. Palaniappan Manickam. In our channel, we have been talking about time-restricted feeding, and I know all our subscribers are not eating after 7 p.m., so I absolutely love it. But the main question that I've been asked is, what should I do to avoid hunger pain at night? What should I eat during this eating window? So the reason that I have not been answering those questions is I am not a certified nutritionist. I want to bring somebody in the channel too, so that they can tell us their experience, so that we can get it from the experts and then follow the protocol accordingly, and then we can take it from there. So we have a wonderful guest today. Her name is Miss Varsha. She has done masters in clinical nutrition, and I couldn't find a better person to explain this more than her. Let me have her on the session. Hi Varsha, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining.
No problems. That's my pleasure.
Okay, nice. Varsha is a master's in clinical nutrition. So it's slightly different from the regular dietitian that we actually see.
Right.
So there's a difference between nutritionist and dietitian. Certified nutrition. Are you certified?
I'm not a certified nutritionist. I can give you a better example for that.
Okay.
But yeah,
You've done a master's in clinical nutrition, right?
That's right. I studied for 2 years and I did my UG for 3 years. So totally it's like 5 years of my education in the field of nutrition. That's
correct. So it's not like me who are just opening a YouTube channel.
No, at least you're qualified to speak about it because you're a doctor. You're not a certified doctor, so it's fine.
All right. So the main question that all my audience and subscribers have is, including my patients, that you're asking me not to eat anything after 7 p.m., just water. It's easy for you to sit in the chair and then say after 7 p.m., but what will you tell my stomach when it is asking for food? And let me just tell you what, I got an email that, hey pal, who is responsible for my hunger pain? If my stomach is hurting, will you come and comfort it? They are so angry about it, like 12 angry men. So to answer that email, I brought you in. So what should we do? Let's focus on the nighttime, right? So nighttime dinner meal, we are focusing on, what are the options we can choose from a South Indian dinner options to make our stomach full, and then making sure that everything is, we don't have to go through the hunger pain. Not only South Indian, because your expertise is in South India. That's why I brought you in. So why its floor is for you.
Okay. So I think your audience is also South Indian. Most of them are. Your demos also South Indians, right?
Right.
See, firstly, before starting the time restricted, feeding, what I would suggest is, if they want to get started, before that, they can plan the meals that they're going to have before. So if 2 meals or if it's going to be 3 meals during the feeding window, what they can do is they can plan it out based on, what's available at their house. You don't need to do anything fancy. For example, now if it's going to be a South Indian, I would suggest that you can include a balanced, meal in your plate. So what we mean by balance is you include carbohydrates, protein, and fat. The problem is that we don't understand what is, protein or carbohydrates or fat.
Correct.
We're so misinformed that we think everything is like dal is protein, for instance. So dal is not protein. Dal is more of carbohydrates and moderate amount of protein. Either sonale they suspect you because they're like, what the hell? Because during their entire childhood and their growing up, have been told that dal is full of protein, and when you mix it with rice, it becomes a complete meal. I think that's what all of us have been taught. Yeah, chinna vayasula. So
யார்கிட்ட என்ன பத்தி பேசுற அப்படிமா?
ஆமா, கரெக்ட். So இது இங்கே இருக்கு. இது எதுக்கு நீ போய் வெளில போய் சாப்பிடணும்? எதுக்கு உனக்கு protein powder? That is what anyone at home would come and tell you. But the whole point is dal doesn't have so much protein. It has only moderate amount. In fact, it has a lot of carbs. That is the first myth that I would like to dispel. So once you get a clear idea as to what is it that you're eating, then it is easy for you to plan your meals as well.
So you're saying that, let's say dinner time, let's just focus on dinner for now. I mean, just for our continuation of what I have been recommending.
Right.
So dinner, any meal should have protein, carbs, and fat. That is what is balanced diet, right?
That's right.
So if we follow this balanced diet on a daily basis, our bank balance might be gone. Because healthy foods are getting expensive.
To give you an example, like if you're someone who eats only dosa for dinner, you're finishing your dinner by 6 o'clock.
Right.
I'm suggesting you, why don't you just have an egg dosa? Ade dosa da, have an egg dosa, you'll feel fuller.
Super.
You won't feel hungry. So the time restricted feeding pannamodu, whatever you're allowed to have only non-calorie drinks, which is nothing but hot water, illa black coffee, illa black tea.
Correct.
So this will definitely, keep you full, and you won't feel that urge to eat something, or you won't have the cravings when you're actually doing this.
So you made an important point. I want to emphasize that. So you said that the more the protein in the diet will make you feel full for a longer time. That's a very, very important point.
Right. So what happens is protein actually helps to, keep you full. And also when someone is looking at losing fat, it helps you to lose fat. How? There's something called thermic effect of food. So it burns about okay, so it needs about 30% of energy to expel when compared to carbohydrates and fat. Carbs and fat உங்களுக்கு அவ்வளவு energy தேவைப்படாது to burn it off. But when it comes to burn of protein, 30% of the energy gets used when you're looking at burning it. So that is why when you open the social media page or wherever you go, people always keep emphasizing on protein.
Right.
But the layman is again very misinformed about protein. I mean, I think that is something we can speak about later, where they think that, a kidney problem varuma. What happens when I start taking whey protein? I think there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to protein.
I think we can, in this context, we can also remove the myth. That's why I interrupted you. So protein doesn't cause damage by itself. Everybody needs protein, at least 0.8 grams per kilo. So for example, I weigh like 70 kilos, so I need at least like 60 grams to maintain a normal body regardless of weight loss or whatever it is. So that is why we are emphasizing on including protein in every meal, because don't you agree that in a typical Indian vegetarian diet, the protein content is not that much, la?
It's not that much. Adu oru vishayam. Rendavadhu, again, like I said, you're misinformed. Like a lot of vegetarians who come forward and tell me that, I am including protein in my diet. Neenga na vera list kuduthirkeenga na. I'm like, no, neenga nariya carbohydrates saapringa. It's not protein. Idu molakatna. That is when you sprout it. That's when it becomes protein. அதுக்கு சயின்ஸ் இருக்கு. It's called amylase activity. அது அவங்களுக்கு அவ்ளோ like when you tell them in one line saying amylase activity ஆகும், அது ஸ்ப்ரவுட் பண்ணும்போது சோ அதனால
இல்ல அது எனக்கே புரியல.
So the research behind, okay, I'll tell you. So it's very interesting.
You have to explain. What I'm saying is, tell me more about that sprouter thing. How we can use
exactly it. So sprout பண்ணும்போது என்ன நடக்குதுன்னா, protein amino acids வந்து வேலை ஆகுது sprout பண்ணும்போது. அது வந்து increase ஆகும், carbohydrate profile கம்மி பண்ணும். So that is why வந்து we always say sprouts is healthy. சில பேர் அவங்களுக்கு தெரியாம sprouts சாப்பிடுவாங்க, because you've always been told or you're conditioned that sprouts is very healthy for you, chana is very healthy for you. So what we tell them is, okay, chana சாப்பிடுங்க, sprout it. எந்த pulses எல்லாம் sprout பண்ண முடியுமோ sprout it.
Examples?
Chana. So it can be the white chana, it can be the black chana, it can be the sprouted, the green gram dal, that can also be sprouted.
Okay.
Rajma cannot be sprouted. It will go spoiled when you try to sprout it. I would suggest avoid that. And then you have soya oda idum kadaikum. Adu sprout panna vanda, but sprout panname it's full of protein. So what I did in my office is that we try to give it in the lab and see how much protein actually each one has. And then we were shocked that actually soy has a lot more protein than even the soya chunks has a lot more protein than what we've even something that we've read or we've seen in the book. So
tell me one more, Varsha. The sprouted means in the overnight ura vekkiradilla. I mean, you immerse that in water for 24 hours or 12 hours. Is there a duration?
no, it depends. Mostly on the sprouting வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா a lot of people keep it in hot case. Hot caseல வந்து they wrap it with a very tight cloth and they sprout it also. அப்படி கூட பண்ணலாம். Easier way to sprout it.
So the other thing is, here in US, everybody's asking me, especially for men, if they want to create something healthy, they are very lazy, including me, to cook by ourselves. So it has to be, always I say to all my audiences that any lifestyle change is sustainable only if you like it, you enjoy it, and you shouldn't think that you're doing something very great. So in the mind, the sprouter looks like it's very simple change to do, isn't it?
It's very, very simple. It's just that you should remember to do it. அதுக்கும் alarm வைப்பாங்க, but yeah, so that's the max we can do. You should remember to do it, then you're sorted.
Okay, sounds good. So we're talking about the increasing the protein content of your options for dinner so that you can extend the hunger pain. Avoid the hunger pain. So we talked about the balanced diet, carbohydrate, protein, and fat at dinner. So we talked about protein options. Research says that low carb at dinner time helps you promote sleep at night and high fiber. So in the rendume it's a contradictory statement. So most of the carb food have high fiber.
That's right.
Right. So usually what I tell my patients is, and fiber is known to keep you full as well. So this is what I tell my patient is that, okay, you know what? Eat high fiber, low carb, and high protein food. And they'll ask me, what should I eat? And I could talk to a dietitian.
So I tell you what, இது வந்து ஒரு blanket statement, okay, where someone is looking at losing weight. Of course, yes, low carb, like you just said, research has pointed out that low carb works, high protein diet also works in it. But பாத்தீங்கன்னா ரெண்டு ரிசர்ச்சும் எடுத்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா both actually works. What is the principle behind it is calorie deficit. நீங்க calorie deficitல இருக்கும்போது even if you have carb at night, it really doesn't matter. Why is because நீங்க இப்போ time restricted feedingல இருக்கும்போது obviously you're finishing your meal say by 6-7. Obviously we all know, insulin sensitivity drops
right after.
So it's fine, it's absolutely fine if you're looking at that perspective. But it's absolutely okay also for someone to have carbs at night.
Right, absolutely. So tell me, so tell me some examples of high fiber food. Doesn't matter whether it can be low or high carb, that can be easily included for a dinner option.
ஒண்ணுமே பண்ண வேண்டாம். இப்போ like for bachelors also, just take cucumber, cut it, have it with some salt and with some chili.
என்ன கை அப்படியே cut it, have it.
Like when people like இந்த மாதிரி bachelors வந்து எங்க கிட்ட சொல்லுவாங்க, I mean not you, but bachelors will come and tell us, நான்லாம் காய்கறிலாம் என்னால சாப்பிட முடியாது, என்னால சமைக்க முடியாது. So I always tell them very easy option is you have cucumbers, you get it, right? So அத மட்டும் கட் பண்ணிட்டு அத சாப்பிடுங்க. அதுல vegetable வந்துரும், water content is so much, and fiber also plays a role in it.
Beautiful, super.
And also the sprouts fiber content அதிகமா இருக்கு. Vitamin C also goes up. இப்போ
நீங்க சொல்றது, I mean I'm not very good in all this. அதனால நீங்க சொல்றது சென்னா மசாலா தான் சொல்றீங்களா? சென்னா மசாலா அந்த மாதிரி இல்ல வந்து ஊற வச்ச சென்னா ரெகுலரா?
ஊற வச்சது இல்ல சார், அது ஸ்ப்ரவுட் ஊற வைக்க மாட்டோம், அது வந்து கட்டிட்டு ஓவர் நைட் வந்து ஒரு ஹாட் என்விரான்மென்ட்ல வச்சிருவோம். So it will முளைக்கட்டிடும்.
Right.
முளைக்கட்டுறதா ஸ்ப்ரவுட்டிங் சொல்றது.
Okay, so after that you just eat like that, isn't it?
No. So some like to eat it like a salad, some like to have it like a sabji. So for example chana masala, it can be a sprouted chana masala. And so again for someone who's living alone and நீங்க என்னால நிறைய cook பண்ண முடியாதுன்னா, keep it as a batch, stock it up, and you can put it with your dosa and you're done. And if you're someone who needs more protein, you can have an egg dosa and your sprouted chana, you're done. You're sorted.
Nice.
And vegetable எனக்கு வேணும்னா cucumber. இது சாப்பிட்டாலே you will feel so full.
Okay. cucumberல வந்து கட் பண்ணிட்டு மிளகாய் தூள் போடலாம்.
அவ்வளவுதான். உங்களுக்கு என்ன பிடிச்சதோ
salt and pepper.
Yeah, whichever.
Right.
So that is one thing. Now another protein source for vegetarians is something that we recommend is hung curd. அதாவது கட்டின தயிரை கட்டி வச்சிருவாங்க ஒரு வேஷ்டி துணி மாதிரி. அத கட்டி போட்டு அதுல தண்ணி வந்துரும். So after the water comes out, like you discard the water and the remaining, like, very thick curd is called hung curd. So that has a lot of protein and good amount of fat, like good source of fat. So that can also be something that you can have. When you have hung curd, you'll feel extremely full, like super full. So
let me tell you from a
yeah.
clinical standpoint. So, people come to me for fatty liver and all those things, and we say, okay, what time restricted feeding it has been shown to reverse fatty liver, reverse all your symptoms. I can't emphasize the importance of a dietitian or a nutritionist like you, who plays a very, very important role, more than the doctor, in terms of the in terms of the weight. I'm being very honest, because we can just prescribe medicines. We know what is the complications, but somebody has to drill down exactly what they are eating and then changing the content of the food. So I'm so glad that you are running a program. Your program is called Optimal Nutrition, yeah?
Yeah, it's my company. So my company is called Optimal Nutrition Protocol. So what we do is evidence-based nutrition programs. So when I say evidence, exactly like, we work with doctors, we work with people who are an expert in their field when we require them. And we always take a blood test before we get started. For a client or program, we always take a blood test. And if we notice any sort of red flag, we always point them to a doctor and tell them, listen, you need to go get it fixed. Ask the doctor for a proper, treatment, and then come back to us. And a diet, but you also need a physician. We're not a physician. We are not a diagnostic center.
So again, it's not a one-man team. It's a team. இது முன்னாடிலாம் வந்து நம்ம 90s கிட்ஸ்ல சச்சின் டெண்டுல்கர் தான் டீமே, அப்படி கிடையாது. இப்போ வந்து எல்லாரும்
it's a teamwork. So yeah, so I think healthcare industry is very, very important, and I honestly feel everybody should look at it as an investment more than thinking that இல்ல டாக்டர்ஸ் இப்பலாம் போக கூடாது, இல்ல நியூட்ரி இவங்களுக்கு என்ன தெரியும், எங்களுக்கு தெரியும். That's the mindset.
என்ன சொல்றீங்களா? ஆமா, தெரியாது ஒண்ணு.
நம்ம எல்லாரையுமே சொல்றேன். All of us, like when they always think டாக்டருக்கு எதுவும் தெரியாது, there's already Google. You already have people Googling the symptoms and coming and telling you, I think I have this, right?
No, absolutely. So, in my office, I have a small caption. It says, if you come and Googling, and we'll charge you 10% more.
I think I'm going to have that in my clinic.
So you're doing a wonderful job, and I know my patients as well who got benefit from you. You were in Chennai, and you do work remotely as well. But I really want to drill down on this dinner time thing, because that is where everybody, at least in here in US, they have a heavy meal. Because of a lifestyle have changed accordingly as well. So coming back to the conversation of protein, carbohydrates, and fat, so you gave us some options of how to increase the protein content, how to increase the fiber content, so you can keep you full. Yeah. So the other problem is, it's easier to have protein content with non-vegetarian. So let me just quickly touch on that. Okay. So research says that red meat has been shown to increase the risk of precancerous lesions, at least in the colon part. So I'm a gastroenterologist. I do a colonoscopy for every patient. And I can tell you that we see so much colon cancers here in the United States and not in India. The reason is we don't eat that much amount of red meat in India. But there's a caveat. My friend who's a gastroenterologist in Kerala is seeing lots of colon cancer now. Because beef. Because it's beef. So there is something to it. So I always encourage my patients not to eat red meat. I'm not completely against non-vegetarian now. You need to enjoy life as well. But I will usually, what I say is like 3 meals a day, 7 days a week, 21 meals a week. So limit yourself to like 1 meal or 2 meal a week if you cannot completely go to vegetarian. So andha mari irukrappa, I always recommend them to choose fish like a white meat. What do you recommend?
So there is a pattern that I have seen with myself and with my clients as well. For protein, so generally what happens is, again, there is no enough research. This is based on observation.
Okay.
When we include a lot of protein, when you're not used to it, sood agum body. Again, that my theory, okay, I still haven't done my research on this, but my logical theory, my mind says that Varsha, it could be TEF again, thermic effect. Marubadiyu. And I need so much energy for you to like,
To
you know,
break it down.
burn that.
To break it down.
So heat produce பண்ணும்போது maybe that's why you get boils, you get zits. Some people constipation varum when you
Right.
take a lot of protein. Why is also because enough water. They don't drink enough water when they take protein.
And also, all the non-veg doesn't have any fiber at all. And
Correct.
fiber is absolutely important for your normal bowel movement.
Absolutely. So water எடுத்துக்க மாட்டாங்க, fiber intake
ஆமா.
So இது இல்லாத போது you're done. It's the formula for, you know, disaster. So what I have observed is any kind of non-veg when I start taking, I'm a, you know, vegetarian by birth, but when I start taking non-veg, that's it, I'm done. Like எனக்கு ஒரு 3 days 4 days அப்புறம் I'll start getting zits and boils and everything. Also, I drink enough water and I do all the right things. Again, so when you're including protein, you should be extremely careful and aware as to how much water you're drinking, how much vegetables you're including. இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப important. Very, very important, you know, observation that I have done or we have seen over the, you know, past few years in our, you know, clinic is that men don't drink enough water when compared to women. And there are developments of kidney stone. I've seen
maybe because we drink other water.
But yeah, so there is bacteria present in the urine. At the Pakamode, I know that they don't drink enough water, and I also see an increase in uric acid. So these are very, you know, glaring observations that we have done. So what happens is உங்களுக்கு uric acid ஏற்கனவே ஹையா இருக்கு, okay, and despite that you load up on protein, like you're done.
So you are saying that whenever you take protein content of anything, in particular non-veg, please make sure that you drink lots of water.
Yeah, absolutely, lots of water, and also watch what you're eating. Like make sure all of your plates have some amount of fiber. Like it doesn't need to be anything fancy. It can be not a kaigrigal, like, you know, your avaraka, your podlanga, keera, whatever they're making at home. More than enough. You don't need to have a broccoli for you to hit your fiber. That's where I'm coming from.
Right, absolutely. Broccoli வந்து சாப்பிட முடியாது, அது ஒரு விஷயம்.
Yeah, அது அங்க கிடைக்கும், US ல கிடைக்கும். It's a cheap, I mean it's their local vegetable.
Correct, local vegetable.
Yeah,
you're saying that they are paying more to buy broccoli in Chennai?
Yeah, so the mindset of a lot of individuals is that I should eat broccoli for me to lose weight.
Oh, is that
even
right?
the kind of vegetables that you want to eat. And we're like, no, you can have the same avaraka, podalanga, vendekka, brinjal, everything that is local here. So we also advocate locally grown vegetables, locally grown fruits.
எனக்கு தெரியாது. I didn't know that broccoli is a superfood. Consider a superfood, la? They're paying more to.
Sir, there is no superfood. That is what we are trying to again discuss. There's nothing superfood. Your local food is your superfood.
Absolutely. One major takeaway from this thing: don't spend money on broccoli. You can spend money on spinach as well. If you can include broccoli, it's okay, but don't go overboard on that.
I think gold is cheaper than broccoli.
Is that right? Oh my god. Maybe India, நீங்க சொல்ற மாதிரி இங்க locally grown nala it is equally same cost as a other vegetable. But there is no point in paying more than other vegetable for a broccoli. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
இது வந்து எப்படினா அந்த Apple laptop வாங்குறப்ப வந்து you have an Apple product na you feel so good about it.
Correct. அந்த மாதிரி.
அதனால நான் என்ன பண்ணுவேன்னா வந்து என்னோட Dell லேப்டாப்ல வந்து Apple ஸ்டிக்கர் ஒட்டிடுவேன். சோ அந்த மாதிரி நீங்க லோக்கல் ஸ்பினச்சை வச்சிட்டு broccoli எழுதிக்கங்க வேணும்னா.
Correct.
That's a wonderful point. It's a wonderful point. Okay, super. So coming back to the plate of the dinner, so you said protein, you said fiber, you have to include vegetables or fruits. Adan the fiber content la varum. And I'm doing a video on how to promote good gut bacteria. So I'm saying all this on that as well. So the last one is fat வந்து நம்மளோட regular, இப்போ for example night வந்து எல்லாரும் when I grew up, so night வந்து தோசை இல்லாட்டி வந்து சப்பாத்தி. அதுக்கு தோசையில வந்து எங்க அம்மா என்ன ஊத்துவாங்க பாருங்க, எனக்கு அப்படியே முறுமுறுகளா சாப்பிட்டாதான் வந்து அப்படி வந்து போகும். So now I realize that 1 spoon of olive oil, whatever oil, is 120 calories. So what do you tell your patients regarding the oil use?
Okay, so for everybody has like a limit, evlo fat portion எடுத்துக்கணும் ஒரு நாளைக்குன்னு. But if you see invariably at least a minimum of 45 to 50 grams of fat for a day. You need that much
Right.
at least for your proper hormone functions to happen. So அதை நம்ம divide பண்ணிடுவோம். 3 meals ஆ இருக்கட்டும், 2 meals ஆ இருக்கட்டும். So it hardly doesn't go beyond like 1 tablespoon. Doesn't go beyond that. So 1 tablespoon is more than enough. So அது cooking.
ஆனா வந்து 1 tablespoon for 1 dosa.
So how we do is 1 tablespoon. No. 1 tablespoon is for 1 meal.
1 meal, exactly. That is the point. That is the point.
Yeah.
நீங்க பாத்துட்டீங்களா? Am I exaggerating it? It's pretty common. ஒரு தோசை
very common. இப்ப என் வீட்லயும் அந்த மாதிரி தான் மொறுமொறுன்னு தோசை வேணும். I like crispy. I mean, I think everybody likes crispy dosas, okay?
So the crispy dosa is almost equal to a fried chicken. You have to use it only on an as needed madri. It's not like a daily thing.
Right.
It's almost equal to the. I mean, it's a luxury food. It's a comfort food. It is not a daily food.
Correct.
So இன்னைக்கு வந்து நீ ரவா தோசை சாப்பிட்டுட்டு நாளைக்கு வந்து நான் சிக்கன் பிரியாணி சாப்பிடுறேன். பட் சிக்கன் பிரியாணி சீட் மீல்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. ரவா தோசையே சீட் மீல் தான்.
Correct. No, as long as இப்ப வீட்ல பண்றதுனா we can monitor at least the oil. இப்ப சங்கீதாக்கு போறோம், ஒரு சங்கீதால போய் நீங்க வந்து கீ தோசை ஆர்டர் பண்ண, I'm having only தோசை அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு பெரிய தோசை காமிப்பாங்க. I'll be like, oh my god. But again, அங்கேயும் நாங்க like clients என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னா, instruct the waiter. They're actually very good there, by the way, like the Sangeeta that at least I go to, I've instructed them and I've told them எனக்கு normal தோசை தாங்க, oil போடாதீங்க. When you instruct that to the waiter, chef, they do it actually. So basically you need to be much more mindful.
Absolutely.
Of course, yes. But people are like, but when I go to restaurants, more like, my time, and that's a more like a joyful experience for clients.
So let me explain a very important context that I usually tell all my patients. So I am not asking you not to go to a restaurant. I'm not asking you to restrain from something that you enjoy. So restaurant la porala vandu rendu reason. One vandu you mingle with friends and family, and number 2 is you enjoy the food. So adula vandu you need to decide and make a conscious decision of enjoying time with the friends and family is more important than the actual food content, and you can actually enjoy the food once a week or something like that. Have like cut down based on your individual requirement. So அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கிற situationல வந்து you can still go to a restaurant, but you could also choose pick and healthy options like what you're suggesting, like go down on the oil and everything. So again, it comes back to the same discussion that lifestyle change has to be sustainable. You should not force yourself to do anything more than what you can.
Right. And another interesting thing that we do for our clients is when they tell us that they're stepping out to a restaurant, what we do is you can tell us where you're going beforehand, and we'll like send you a list of food that you can choose from from that particular restaurant, and we also give instructions that will also help. So
you have tried at all restaurants?
No, I haven't, but all restaurants have the same kind of menu. Basically everything has like paneer butter masala, chicken, everything has
and they want to make it as tasty as possible so that you come back.
Exactly. Of course. So we never ask them to choose those kind of food, but we ask them if you're going for tikka, adili they brush oil.
Oh my god, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we tell them, ask them to avoid it. It's not like they're going to avoid it completely because they want their food to be tasty.
Correct.
But at least can reduce it.
Seri. Okay, what else you'll say? You'll say have to decrease the oil. What else you'll ask them to choose like a high fiber idhuva?
So what I would suggest is if you're going to a restaurant where you're not, like for example Sangeeta, okay? If I'm going to Sangeeta or a Saravana Bhavan and I know my protein options are extremely limited, it's just going to be paneer.
Yes.
I ask them to finish their protein at home and go to the restaurant. Then your choices are also much more mindful because you're not that hungry. You've already eaten. I've had protein. It actually keeps you full. Then you choose your carb option. Adile ebnalo there's going to be fat because they're going to cook it with oil or ghee or butter or whichever. And you ask them to limit it as much as possible. Now, that is one option. Second is you either finish your carbohydrates, your portion of carbs in wherever you're going. Protein option, if you're very, very like, skeptical, like if it's going to be only paneer tikka and you say, no, I don't want to have it, come back home and finish your protein. There are people who do protein shakes. So we ask them to come back home and have the shake or finish your shake and then, go for your meal. That also works.
It's the same concept that we use, right? We use, okay, don't eat anything after 7 p.m. So what if there is a dinner at 8 p.m.? So we say that, okay, you eat your dinner at home and then so that the consumption of calories is very minimal. So in the my restaurant, again to my audience, it's not for dinner. So don't go to restaurant and dinner time. So we're talking about lunch, breakfast, whatever you want. Or the peak time, the insulin peak is at 3 p.m. So 3 p.m. insulin will love you. Compared to like 9 p.m. or 10 p.m.
Yeah, so this is what even I love having my dinner by 7. I love to wrap it up by 7 because I feel very sleepy by 9ish, 10ish because I started waking up at 5 a.m. So I find this routine to be perfect. This was my school routine. It's not, once we started growing up, our routine has changed.
Messed up. Sounds good. Super. I think it was a wonderful decision. Let me just summarize everything, Varsha. Okay. So number one is we're saying that, okay, for any meal we need to have a balanced diet, which will include protein, carbs, and fat. So in our method of time restricted feeding, we generally don't restrict calories because we are restricting the time already. So to avoid hunger pain at night, to keep you full. So we talked about increasing your protein content, increasing your fiber, and Varsha gave wonderful options, including if you're vegetarian or non-vegetarian. And more importantly, drink water. That's one of the main things. Anything else that you would like to add for this dinner options or any concept?
Okay. And another thing I would like to suggest is when you're going to get into this time restricted period, always, do a meal prep before you get started. That's very, very important because when you do meal prep, half of the problem is solved there. You already know what you're going to eat. So you don't need to sit and decide, okay, I don't know what to eat. And then they get confused. And then your mind will be like, you start from tomorrow.
Correct.
Right? Because
correct. I think everybody should be like Gajini Surya. You should have dinner, chicken biryani, lunch.
And another important factor is don't cook when you're hungry. Or when you're hungry, don't decide what you want to eat. When we do that, we make a lot of wrong choices where we listen to our mind than our stomach what it wants, because at the end of the day we be like, let's just not do it. Either you'll go that way or you'll be like, no, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do that day after tomorrow. Absolutely. Tomorrow never comes. So it's always better that you plan. It's okay even if you don't start immediately, but at least plan and then start. So I think that is something you can do. Secondly, keep it extremely simple. Do not do anything crazy or fancy up and just don't do that. Just keep it very simple. If you are a person who's South Indian, you love your rice, have that portion of rice. If you're going to eat your eggs, you're non-vegetarian but you prefer eggs over vegetarian, boil eggs, 2 eggs, fine, include that. And if you have sambar, include that. Or if you're making rasam, include that. And one vegetable portion, you're done, you're sorted. Correct. You don't need to plan too much. You don't need to think too much.
Mm-hmm. And we're not saying don't avoid rice. Rice is okay in limited quantities.
Exactly. Yeah.
And rice
right. And also, rice is the safest crop to eat for the gut.
Absolutely.
When compared to even chapati or anything. Absolutely. So it's the safest crop, and that's something I always
But the problem is, I think we go overboard. That is the problem. So that is the problem, because it has lots of calories. 50 gram rice, it will have lots of calories. So we're not saying don't avoid rice. It's okay, but in limited quantities. Super, sounds good. So it was a wonderful discussion. We will bring you back for future discussion. This is amazing. So people who really want to proceed further with Varsha, look up optimal nutrition protocol, and we will have that in the description as well. But anyways, thank you so much, Varsha, for your time, and just love talking to you, and we'll have you back again as well.
All right, sure sir, Looking forward.
Thank you. Bye-bye.